So, how to realize everything and everyone is you? Even the walls, even the stupid people? Yes, unfortunately, depending on the way you look at it. This is a big concept in spirituality, right? Oneness. Am I one with everything? Perhaps it certainly doesn't feel like it. Feels like I'm separate. And there's some things and people in this world I want nothing to do with. And yet, would you not agree that everything that appears in this wide open space of awareness? The people, animals, plants, buildings, planets, stars, and even the galaxies all appear within you. This isn't just a nice fluffy concept, belief, or intellectual conclusion. This is an obvious, direct, living reality when we look closely, because you are aware, correct? In fact, you are this awareness in which everything is appearing. And everything you've ever experienced and everything you could ever experience appears within this awareness, this consciousness appears within you. Have you ever, could you ever experience anything outside of it? Do we have any proof that the stars, planets, and galaxies even exist without someone there to witness them? Could we even prove their independently existing presence, even in principle? You see, everything that appears only ever appears in awareness, right? We've been told by mainstream science and society that there's a separate world out there, separate and independent from us. We've been made to believe that we're a flicker of consciousness, that the brain is producing a spark of awareness inside a brain, inside the body, looking out of these eyes onto a separate world. But imagine you are in a lucid dream. Imagine you know that you're dreaming. And someone comes up to you and says, "You're a separate entity living in this separate world, separate from everything and everyone that appears." Well, you'd say, "That's ridiculous. I realize all of this is my consciousness. It's all an appearance of me, appearing to me. Even the walls, even the stupid dream characters." Well, ultimately, yes. So, what makes you believe this reality is any different? Only that you've been told that it is. Only that you've been told that there's a separate world out there which you're inside of. A separate world we never had any proof for because it only ever appears in and as consciousness, just like the dream. So, what if this isn't a dream within your individual mind? What if it's a dream of universal consciousness? Well, the question may arise, but if I am universal consciousness, dreaming this dream, appearing to myself, then why do I appear as an individual with an isolated perspective onto the world? If everyone and everything is me, then why can't I just jump into someone else's mind? Why don't I experience myself as the walls, as the cup, or as everything? Well, in meditation or psychedelic experiences, some people claim to have experienced just that. But that aside, taking our ordinary, everyday human experience, it's much like a dream, right? Maybe you've had a dream where you're seeing your body from a third person perspective, or you're seeing everything as a movie without even being located inside a body. But usually, you have a dream as an apparent entity in a world, right? Potentially, the imagination of your consciousness can dream any dream, can appear as anything. But to have a dream that has any consistency, that you can learn from, that you can really explore and experience, you have to overlook your infinite potential to imagine anything, and you have to forget yourself so that you can appear to yourself as a character in a world. What if this reality is very much the same? What if this awareness, this presence that you are that gives rise to everything, is in its essential nature infinite? What if you, as the universal God consciousness appearing as everything, have overlooked your infinite potential in order to appear to yourself as an apparently limited character in a world? What if essentially you are this beingness that the whole universe appears in, and you're just taking a temporary form, a localized perspective that sometimes you feel trapped in, but really you're the whole thing? You see, to realize everything and everyone is you, it doesn't come with a special experience. It doesn't come with realizing some special knowledge that's anywhere else from where you are already. It comes with honesty, radical honesty about your reality and what's actually experienced. Remember, the whole idea of you and what you are is just a concept. You might say, well, I'm everything within the boundary of the skin, and everything outside of that isn't me. But that boundary is just an idea. In fact, recent scientific discoveries reveal that our bodies are not just made of human cells, they're actually dynamic ecosystems teeming with life. The human body hosts trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, viruses, and archaea, which outnumber our own cells by a significant margin, and without them, our body would die almost instantly. So, even by conventional standards, defining yourself as a separate entity isn't quite true. You're apparently many different life forms, all working in symbiosis. So, what if those same boundaries, those that reveal themselves as illusions when we examine our existence as seemingly independent life forms, also dissolve when we explore our relationship with the so-called outside world? Because the outside world has only ever appeared inside you. In fact, when you look really closely, do you find any separation between you, the awareness, and everything that's appearing? Can you find any distance, any gap between awareness and all the content? If you look closely, you can see that all the content only ever appears as awareness. It's the awareness appearing as the form, and there's no gap, no distance, no separation. I can look at the wall and say, that's a few meters away, and yet it only ever appears as perceptual immediacy. It only ever appears as immediate presence appearing as the wall. If I look at the most distant star in the sky, billions of light years away, the distance is a concept. It only ever appears as complete perceptual immediacy. Yes, in the relative world, there is distance as a useful concept, a relative reality. Appearing as this human body, it's unlikely you'll suddenly appear next to the star, and your body would be instantly vaporized anyway, so you probably wouldn't want that. But in your direct perceptual reality, there's no distance between you and the star. It's only ever you, the awareness, appearing as the star. Just like a building or even a star appearing in a movie. The distance is an illusion. Relatively, the building is meters away from the camera, and the star billions of light years away. But ultimately, it's the completely perceptually immediate appearance of the movie screen. Just like the buildings, trees, and other entities in a dream. Relatively, there's the appearance of localization, separation, distance, obviously, but ultimately, it's an illusion of consciousness. What you're experiencing is the complete perceptual immediacy of your consciousness. The distance, the separation, is an illusion. You see, we all have our apparently separate bodies, minds, thoughts, memories, hopes, dreams, and unique life experiences. We look down at our body or in the mirror and we see the differences. Differences between our opinions and ideas. A unique, totally unique, localized perspective onto the world. But the fact that we are is identical in all of us. The beingness that everything appears within is identical. We share that same fundamental essence, and when you look into someone's eyes, without conceptual filters, just being and seeing, you can sense that. When you look into the eyes of an innocent animal, you can sense that too. They're not just lifeless objects, there's someone there. There's someone that it is like to be them. And that same something that it is like to be is the same within you. It's only forgetting that and overlooking that that has us objectify them, to put them behind brick walls, out of sight, and on the kill floor to be turned into a sandwich and 5 minutes of sensory pleasure. But as soon as we recognize that there is something that it is like to be them, compassion arises. So, right now, you can pick an object in your immediate environment, a chair, a tree, a passing person, drop all names, meanings, and mental associations. Just see it. If you don't call it a chair, a tree, or a person, what is it? If you notice carefully, that sense of that thing being over there, being different from me, is created by thought. Without that imposed boundary, there's just the raw perception happening completely immediately, not there. Right now, look at your hand. Is it you? Now look around at the room. Why is it any less you than the hand? Both are perceived in the same way. The division between me and not me is an arbitrary assumption based on conditioning. Look at someone and allow every concept to fall away. Instead of that's John or that's another person, just perceive what is actually there. The colours, sounds, the beingness. If no thoughts arise, is there really a boundary between you and them? Or is there just one field of aware presence appearing as apparently separate people? Are the people in the movie separate? Or are they appearances of the same indivisible screen? Are the people in a dream separate? Or are they all appearances of the same indivisible consciousness? What if we are that consciousness of God, dreaming itself to be 8 billion people with apparently localized perspectives, but in reality, we're the same beingness, the same consciousness, appearing as everything? Have you ever noticed that when you don't conceptualize yourself to be a separate entity, the apparent boundaries between the inside and the outside seem to become porous? You think of someone and they call. You imagine something and it appears to happen. There's synchronicities between what's appearing in thought and imagination and what seems to appear in the world. What if these aren't just mere patterns being noticed because of cognitive bias? What if these boundaries we assume to be so solid aren't the reality that we thought they were? Yes, in reality, we appear as distinct individuals, and we can celebrate that. There can be disagreements, differences of opinion, and arguments that can happen. You don't have to like everyone just because they're you. The relative world of people and personhood still appears. It's how we collectively dream this collective dream. It's how we, on the relative level, learn, grow, and evolve. There is the appearance of individuality, but what we're looking at here, what we're realizing, is what's ultimately true. At some point, the mind stops grasping for a center. The idea of self as a separate experiencer collapses. Then it's seen clearly. There was never any separate self. No other. There was only ever this. Everything is you, not metaphorically, not philosophically, but literally. And so, recognizing your non-separateness, your true nature, can always be an immediate revelation. But stabilizing as that, embodying that, can take time. And I've seen that the odd glimpses here and there isn't usually sufficient. What's usually required is a deep commitment and love for recognizing and exploring your true nature. That's why I created my community platform, Awake and Embodied, to give you the guidance, the structure, and the support to do just that. There we have the full awakening and embodiment sessions, weekly live group calls with me, and bonus resources, all to support you on the journey. If you're an earnest explorer, seeker of truth, this is for you. If you want not just nice, fluffy sounding concepts, but to actually live and embody this truth, this is for you too. The link is in the description. Can't wait to see you there. See you in the next video. Peace.